Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to continue on with this kind of mini series of Swedish beers that I've been doing for you across December. This is number 7 or 8, I forget, but there's going to be about 20 or so of these videos, so I hope you enjoy learning about all these different Swedish breweries. But for this one we are going to head up to Göteborg, which is about 3 hours to the north of me from Lund, and this one is meant to be really quite an interesting brewery. So we're going to do my first beer review from Bryggeriet, and this one is the Göteborgsporter, and it's rated at 87 on ratebeer.com. Very, very good rating actually. That website very rarely leads you wrong when it comes to beer, so this is a very good one for me to start with Bryggeriet. And I always like trying these new Swedish beers. I've been very impressed with the standard of beer I've tried from here so far, so this kind of mini series of Swedish beers is one that I hope you really enjoy, and it's one that I'm enjoying doing for you. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual website links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Bryggeriet. As I say, this is the very first one I'm doing. There's the Facebook page for the channel. Please like it if you enjoyed the video, and also my Untappd profile as well. So feel free to add me as a friend on there. And to my Swedish viewers, I do apologise if any of the pronunciations aren't quite right. I'm still learning since I've arrived here in Lund, but please do let me know some of the other Swedish beers you'd like me to have a look at, and I will see if I can get a hold of them through Systembolaget. But anyway, to tell you about Bryggeriet. So this brewery was started by 3 friends back in 2007 who often drank together in the same sports pub. So these guys were Peter Andersson, who was a salesman, Rodrigo Arvidsson, who was the finance man, and there was also Thomas Bingebo, who was actually the brewer. And the 3 were largely inspired by the lack of variety of beer in Sweden back at that time. 2007 was really before this whole kind of craft beer craze began in Sweden, and these guys were around before craft beer was trendy basically. But Thomas has brewing experience from Ireland where he used to work, and he also worked for Jämtland's brewery before he became part of Ocean, before he co-founded it with his friends. But the beers are now produced in the old Likholm brewery in Mölndal and Gothenburg, and they've steadily increased their capacity over the years. The old Likholm brewery is actually a really beautiful building. If you check out the brewery website you will see some pictures of it, and Likholm of course is another old beer brand. I'm not sure if you can still get those beers, so hopefully someone Swedish watching will let me know about that. But today the beers are available in various restaurants and bars throughout Gothenburg and a bit further afield. You can order them if you live in Sweden through Systembolaget. And for those of you watching outside of Sweden, some of you in Norway and Finland and Iceland and things might know the idea, but Systembolaget is the state-owned alcohol shop, and essentially any alcohol that is over 4% you have to buy from Systembolaget. But for me it's quite good because I can order the craft beers in from all over Sweden, but the opening hours are a bit daft and a lot of Swedish people complain about it. But as I say, for me it's actually quite good because I can get all of the different Swedish beers. But one of the other interesting points about this brewery is that quite recently they brewed a beer called We Can Do It, and this was done in collaboration with a group called Female, which is a group of lady beer lovers, and the whole idea behind their existence is to promote craft beer among women. And there was quite an interesting article about this, about Female as well, because there was a woman who was one of the leaders in it was complaining that whenever she went to a craft beer bar in Gothenburg she kept getting told, oh, we'll find you something a bit sweeter or a bit less hoppy. But they basically want to kind of promote the kind of really big bodied beers amongst female drinkers, and it's quite good. And that's one thing I've noticed actually since I've moved to Sweden. It's a lot more gender equal, and that's obviously a very healthy thing for society, I think. But anyway, enough about politics. Just to list the other beers you can get from these guys. In their core range they've got Glen number 5, 12 Plato Lager, the India Pale Ale, West Coast basically, Ebbet Ale, which is supposed to be a really nice one, this one which is the Göteborgsporter, the Jul-Ol, Jan Torget's Arbiter Porter as well as the last one, and that's to do with Jan Square basically, and that's a steelworkers beer. That's supposed to be another quite interesting one, so hopefully I can get a few more of those and review them for you at a later date. I do need to go up and visit Göteborg at some point as well, so hopefully I can find some time for that next year. So let's get stuck into this beer actually. So I'll just bring up the camera and let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. This one is a 5% porter beer. It actually didn't tell you on the website what the hop and malt bill in this beer was. It would have been nice to know that, and some breweries in Sweden do put that up on their websites, but some others don't. I always prefer it when they do because it's good to tell you a little bit of hops about a little bit of facts about the hops and things like that. But on the side in Swedish it says Gothenburg since 1817 has been a port town. The first porter brewery was founded around this point. And as one of the Gothenburg breweries, it's natural for us to continue this fine tradition. This porter should be served at 10 to 14 degrees. It will be about 10 just now roughly, and it should be drank on its own or eaten with mussels, cheese, chocolate, or a tasting platter, I think that was. My flatmate actually is half Swedish and she helped me translate it, so I'm just trying to remember exactly what she said. But yeah, this one is from Scores, it says on the side, in Göteborg, but I believe that's in the Mölndal district in Gothenburg. So without further ado, let's get this guy cracked open then. As you can see, the nice Swedish line on this. This is one of the nicest labels I've actually come across on the Swedish beers here. I really like the Swedish line with the 3 crowns and things, really cool. And there is the typical Ocean Bryggeriet bottle cap on this one. You can see there's the more formal symbol of the brewery there. You can see the lion, just if I put my finger to it. But as I said, this guy is a 5% porter beer, rated at 87 on Rate Beer actually, so it's meant to be a very, very good one. So without further ado, let's get this guy cracked open. As you can see, a nice smoky opener. I spilt just a tiny little bit of it there on my jeans, but it doesn't really matter, most of it stayed in. So let's get this guy out and into the glass. Didn't make much of a pop actually, but maybe just because it was quite full. Just sugar up a bit and try and get a wee bit more head on this guy. We'll leave it at that. I'll drink the rest of it a little bit later on. But as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice dark sort of ebony rosewood colour. It looks absolutely beautiful actually. There's a kind of half finger of a frothy beigey tan head, but that's very quickly fading away to just be a very thin foamy layer. You can actually smell quite a bit of roasted, slightly smoky malt off this without paying too much attention to it, and a bit of a kind of licoricey note actually. But as you can see, the beer is not transparent at all. If I put my fingers behind it, you can see not transparent in the slightest. Just to put the light over and let you see the exact colour of this, it doesn't change much. Definitely a kind of rosewoody ebony colour, but it looks absolutely beautiful. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a little bit of sediment there as well. But yeah, quite a few little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head as well, but it looks like it might be quite a light and quite tasty porter. So let's give it a smell. Without sugaring it up too much, you can get a little bit of a nice chocolatey sweetness coming out of there. It's quite earthy as well. There's a good bit of earthy hop coming out of this one. But overall the nose is quite big and quite malty. There's some sweet chocolate in there. Good little bit of roasted coffee, but it is more subtle than some other porters I've come across. But you can pick up some of the... yeah, you can definitely pick up some of the sweet chocolate and caramel coming out of that. Really nice actually. There's a bit of a kind of biscuity and sort of grainy bready note coming out as well, but a good bit of earthy hop character. Smells really nice. It is quite a kind of light aroma from this one, I should say. Not as kind of complex as some of the other ones I've come across, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be a good beer. The aroma can always be a little bit deceiving, but as I always say, you should give it a go before you actually try the beer. But yeah, I think it's fair to say quite sweet and chocolatey. Good bit of roasted coffee coming out of it as well. Some caramel sweetness, a little bit of licorice, but some biscuits and a kind of brown, slightly rye-ish bready note from this one, quite cereally. But I think there is a good bit of kind of smooth, earthy hop in there as well. Maybe just a little bit of a kind of candied fruit ester coming out. But yeah, it isn't the most complex nose, so do give it a smell and just see all the different things you can pick out. But the most important part of the beer is of course the taste. So let's get stuck into this guy. So this is the Göteborgsporter from Bryggeriet in Göteborg in Sweden. Skål! Yeah, now that is really quite nice. The first thing I'm noticing about it is that it is quite light, and I do like it when a porter beer, especially when it's not an imperial porter, when you've got a kind of lower ABV porter beer, when it is nice and drinkable, that's always a bonus, and this one is really quite light and really quite enjoyable actually. A little fly flying around in my room, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, to me this one actually has quite a good hoppy presence in fact. Yeah, There's a good bit of earthy hop character in this beer. But yeah, the earthy hop just goes right around the edge of the tongue. There is a little bit of dryness from it, particularly around the front edges. Then it's a smoother earthy characteristic at the back corners of the palate. In the middle of the palate is a nice kind of grainy, slightly rye bread character. That just blankets the middle of your tongue, but on top of that there is a good bit of roasted coffee, and it almost comes across as being a little bit smoky. It's not like a peat smoke either. It's not a very kind of acidic peaty smoke that you can sometimes get in whiskey, but it actually does come across as being rather smoked, and as you let it progress into the aftertaste, that smoky character comes across as being even more kind of roasted and bitter actually. But yeah, it's really nice. As you let it progress a little bit more too, you are getting more of the kind of chocolatey flavours, and a little bit of the licorice come out of this one too. Yeah. What I'll say about this one as well is that when you first take a sip of it, it doesn't come across as that complex, but then once you let your palate fully adjust to it, which you should always do before you start thinking too much about the flavour, it really does kind of just broaden out, and there's a whole host of other things going on in this beer. Yeah, as I say, good bit of earthy hop character around the edge of the tongue. The middle of the palate is just blanketed by this almost kind of rye bread or sort of biscuity and grainy character. It just blankets right across the middle of your tongue there. There's some sweet chocolate there right in the middle of the palate, but on top of that there's a good roasted bitter coffee coming out of this one, almost a little bit smoky. There is I was picking out a good bit of licorice in the aroma. It doesn't come across so much in the beer. The big element of this porter for me is it's the earthy hops that are coming out around the edge of the palate, and then in the middle of the palate there's that good coffee roasted bitterness, and the sweeter characteristics of them all are almost drowned out by that, but there is just a little bit of a kind of slightly licoricey flavour in there. And it comes out a bit more as the beer progresses into the aftertaste, but the aftertaste is dominated by the earthy hop and the roasted, slightly smoky kind of coffee flavours coming out of this one. Yeah, there is just a very, very subtle element of a sort of candied fruit flavour in this one. If you just go behind the very front edge of your tongue, you can get just a little mild hint of that, but overall this beer really is more of a kind of sort of coffee and slightly smoky porter actually, and the earthy hop is really nice as well. So that's the three main components of the flavour, but as I say, there are a few more subtle things in there. The malt base does have a bit of a kind of grainy, bready character, slightly biscuity, and there's little bits of chocolate sweetness in there, some caramel, maybe a little bit of licorice, but mainly it is dominated by that nice smoky coffee flavour, I would say. Yeah, I'll stick with that a bit. You'll just notice behind the very front edge of the tongue, like I said, once the liquid starts to leave your tongue and the beer progresses into the aftertaste, you get just a little bit of a very slight candied fruity ester in there. It's not quite like Haribo's, it's more of a kind of darker, maybe a kind of smooth sort of figgy fruit, or maybe it's not like, I don't know, more of a slightly figgy note I would say, but just very light, just a very light sort of candied fruity flavour in this one, but that's very, very mild. As I say, more focused on the earthy hops, the slightly smoky roasted coffee flavour in this one, but it is really quite nice. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say it's actually pretty light bodied. For a porter, it is actually really quite light bodied. The carbonation does have a good little bit of attack on it, and that helps bring out the roasty kind of bitter character from the coffee, the slightly smokier elements of the flavour too. Maybe helps promote the earthiness of the hop as well, but overall the earthiness of the hop is quite a bit smoother in comparison to the sort of coffee bitterness that you get from this beer. There is a little bit of sweetness. As I say, you can also pick up a little bit of a wet character from the fruity esters in this beer, the candied fruity esters, and a little bit of sweetness from the malts, but overall it's quite a dry, kind of roasty, bitter beer, but at the same time it is really quite drinkable. But I definitely would have this again. I'd be interested to try it on tap. As I usually say when it comes to reviewing porters, the porter is a beer that I kind of get in the mood for, and I do like trying it every so often. So it's quite cool to actually find another one that I really like, particularly another one from Sweden. But this is more of a kind of light and quite easy drinking porter. Good for you to have with a dessert or something like that. Smoked cheese, as they were saying on the side, they said just cheese, but I think smoked cheese would go quite well with this. Not actually tried that. I'm not so much into my food pairings, I just like drinking the beer and tasting it for what it is, but I really like this one and I would definitely have it again. So if you like a kind of nice lighter porter, then give it a go. Those of you who, the one that it reminds me of a little bit is the Alice Porter from Brewdog back home in Scotland, and if you like that sort of style of beer, this is another one that I think you will quite enjoy, but it is a bit more forward on the coffee and the sort of earthy hop characters, but it works very, very well. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Go and check out the Ocean Bryggeriet from Gothenburg in Sweden. They've got some really interesting beers. Hopefully I can review one of their IPAs or something as the next beer, see how they do the lighter side of things, so hopefully I can get a hold of that one. But as always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Always interesting to hear from you guys. As I said, Swedish viewers, please let me know some other beers to try from Sweden. Always finding some interesting stuff. But I thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Go and check out Ocean Bryggeriet, and I'll catch you soon with my next beer review. Slàinte just now.